Hello everyone, this is the chapter 2 of level 2, kingdom Monera, Protista and fungi. The kingdom Monera, which include all the bacteria, and the Protista, which include protozoa, diatoms are in a way the lowest among the living world. All bacteria, majority of Protista and many fungi are microscopic and generally referred to as microorganisms, जिसको हम अपने naked eye से नहीं देख सकते. These all are microscopic in nature. You will learn about the three kingdoms in this lesson. After completing this lesson, you will be able to following objectives. It states the basic basis for classifying certain organisms as member of kingdom Monera, Protista and fungi. Emphasize the fact that kingdom Monera is the only prokaryotic kingdom and also it is the most primitive. Describe the generalized structure of a bacterium and cyanobacteria. Describable economic importance of bacteria with examples. Recognize the status of cyanobacteria and justify its function in kingdom Monera. Describe the characteristic of kingdom Protista. Describe the structure of amoeba, paramecium, euglena and plasmodium. Describe the structure of diatoms. List the uses of protists to humans and mention the disease causing protozoa. List the general characteristics of fungi with examples. Describe the structure and reproduction of yeast, rhizopus, mushroom, penicillium and its utility by humans. Explain what are mycorrhiza and describe the economic importance of fungi. Kingdom Monera include the bacteria and cyanobacteria commonly called blue green algae. इसको दरअसल BGE के नाम से भी जानते हैं, blue green algae. Since only bacteria are prokaryotic, पहला भी हम समझ सकते हैं, pro means primitive and karyon means nucleus. So lacking a true nucleus, that is without nuclear membrane, Monera is the only prokaryotic kingdom. So bacteria were the first organisms to evolve on planet Earth after life originated around 3.5 billion years ago. हमने जो पहले चैप्टर में पढ़ा था, लेकिन पानी में लाइफ की शुरुआत हुई थी, and were the only organisms on Earth for almost the next 2 billion years. So all bacteria and cyanobacteria are single-celled or unicellular, and Monera means single. So monerans are also the most numerous of all living organisms. Structure of a bacterial cell. The single-celled bacteria has a single cell wall made up of compound peptidoglycan covering the cell membrane. A single chromosome. The cell has ribosomes but no membrane, found organelles. Let us get to know some details of these parts in next figure. This is figure. You can see this is bacterial cell. Outer covering is capsule and you can see in the center DNA. There is no nuclear membrane. So this is the structure of bacteria. The following parts of a bacterium in the next figure out. Most covering is the cell wall. All prokaryotes have a rigid cell wall which protects and gives shape to the cell. The cell wall is made up of a chemical peptidoglycan unique to bacteria. Pili, singular यानी pileless. Pili are short and thin thread-like structures projecting out from the cell wall in some bacteria. बहुत छोटे छोटे hair-like outgrowth देखने को मिलेंगे आपको बाहर की तरफ. Flagella. Some bacteria move with the help of one or two flagella. Flagella are longer and thicker than pili. Their structure is different from flagella of eukaryotes. Next is plasma membrane. Plasma membrane present below the cell wall encloses the cytoplasm and other cell contents. It is made up of lipids and proteins as in eukaryotes. Next is one circular chromosome made of a double helical molecule of DNA is located in a region of the cytoplasm called nucleoid. Since the chromosome is not With a true nucleus, bacteria are termed prokaryotes. Hence, Monera is the prokaryotic kingdom. So, please, you have to remember that Monera is the prokaryotic kingdom. Apart from the chromosome, many species of bacteria possess rings of DNA called plasmids, which replicate along with bacterial chromosome and bear genes for antibiotic resistance, sex factors, etc. Cell organelles, membrane-bound organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi bodies are absent. Only ribosomes are present, which are different from those of eukaryotes. आपको याद आ रहा होगा 80s ribosomes, 70s ribosomes पढ़े थे हम लोगों ने 12th क्लास में. So prokaryotes have no nuclear membrane around genetic material and no cell organelles. They have only the ribosome. So kingdom Monera, general body functions. Number 1, nutrition. The 4 nutritional categories found in bacteria are autotroph, saprotroph, symbionts, and plastids. Autotrophs synthesize their own organic food. Saprotrophs feed on dead and decaying matter. Symbionts use food from other living organisms with which they are associated for mutual benefit. Plastids absorb food from living organisms. Next is respiration. Respiration in bacteria may be either aerobic or anaerobic. Aerobic means using oxygen for respiration, and anaerobic, respiration in the absence of oxygen. Cellular respiration or breakdown of food to release energy occurs in mesosomes, which are the inner extension of the cell membrane. जो सेल मेम्ब्रेन है उसमें नीचे की तरफ आपको मेसोसोम दिखाई देते हैं, इनर एक्सटेंशंस हैं ये. Then reproduction, asexual. Bacteria reproduce asexually by binary fission. Under favorable conditions, it takes about 20 minutes for one bacteria to divide into 2 by binary fission. You can see this in the figure. 1 से 2 बैक्टीरिया इस तरह से बनते हैं. सबसे पहले इसका न्यूक्लियस अलग अलग हुआ, एनलार्ज हुआ, और धीमे धीमे एक बीच में कंस्ट्रिक्शन बनेगा और एक सेल से 2 सेल बनके तैयार. Some bacteria show a primitive mode of sexual reproduction. It is different from sexual reproduction in higher form. The steps are 2 conjugating, lie very close for exchange of genes. Bacteria are held together by pili. Next is a segment of DNA strand is transferred from one bacterium to another bacterium. You can see this in next figure like this. 2 bacteria come together. 2 bacteria पास में आते हुए दिख रहे हैं आपको. इसके बीच में आपस में कपलिंग हुआ और कपलिंग होने के बाद ये सब सेपरेट हो गए आफ्टर सेल डिवीजन. Next, useful and harmful bacteria. They harm us by causing many diseases. On other hand, some bacteria are very useful, like Vibrio cholera, ये फैलाता है कोलेरा. Salmonella typhi, टाइफाइड फैलाएगा. Clostridium tetani, टिटनेस. Corynebacterium, responsible for diphtheria, and Mycobacterium tuberculosis is responsible for tuberculosis. These diseases caused by bacteria. Rhizobium, found in roots of legumes, fixes atmospheric nitrogen. Next is Azotobacter, make the soil fertile. It fixes atmospheric nitrogen in the soil. Streptomycetes produces streptomycin antibiotic. Lactobacillus ferments lactose यानी मिल्क शुगर टू लैक्टिक एसिड. ये बाई मिस्टेक एंटर से नीचे आ गया है, ये साथ में ही है इसके लैक्टोबैसिलस के साथ में. दिस हेल्प इन सेटिंग ऑफ मिल्क इनटू कर्ड. मेथेनोजेनिक बैक्टीरिया इज यूज्ड फॉर सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट. जो ये गटर वगैरह होते हैं उसको साफ करने के लिए. साइनोबैक्टीरिया, these were earlier called the blue green algae, a very successful group on primitive earth. They could carry out photosynthesis, and the oxygen releases during the process changed the Earth's atmosphere, and gradually the level of oxygen increased in the Earth's atmosphere. Then difference between bacteria and cyanobacteria. Bacteria is smaller cells. Second, may have flagella. Third, some bacteria carry out photosynthesis in a different way and do not release oxygen. Next is sexual reproduction by conjugation. But in cyanobacteria, comparatively larger cells than bacteria, they do not have flagella. They all carry out photosynthesis in the usual manner as in green plants and release oxygen. Conjugation has not been observed. Archaebacteria. Kingdom Monera includes two groups, Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. इसके अंदर दो ग्रुप्स हैं. Archaebacteria includes bacteria that live in unusual environments, particularly at low levels of oxygen. Main types of Archaebacteria are methanogenic bacteria that live in sewage and intestinal tracts of animals, thermoacidophilic bacteria that live in hot springs, and halophilic bacteria live in salty conditions. Example, where hot sun concentrates seawater. Eubacteria include cyanobacteria and all other bacteria. Protista are unicellular eukaryotes, protozoa and diatoms, and included in it, they have membrane-bound organelles such as nucleus with chromosome, enclosed in nuclear membrane, mitochondria, chloroplast, Golgi bodies, and endoplasmic reticulum. Mitochondria are the respiratory organelles. Protistas are either photosynthetic, parasitic, or saprotrophic. For locomotion, protists may have cilia or flagella, having 9+2 microtubules unlike those of bacteria, which have the 9+1 arrangement of microtubules. They reproduce both asexually and sexually. Some protists are beneficial to human while others are harmful. Then classification of Protista. The kingdom Protista includes phylum Protozoa, which has the following four classes: Rhizopoda, Flagellata, Ciliata, Sporozoa. In Rhizopoda, example is amoeba. Flagellata, example is Euglena. Ciliata, example is Paramecium. Sporozoa, example is Plasmodium. Next is phylum Bacillariophyta, example diatoms, the algae belongs to. Next, phylum Chlorophyta, example Chlorella. Phylum Phaeophyta, example brown algae. Rhodophyta, red algae, and Oomycota, phytophthora. So these are the example of protists. Amoeba. Amoeba is commonly found in the mud in fresh water and ditches containing decaying leaves. It has blunt pseudopodia for locomotion. Pseudo means false. It captures food by pseudopodia to form a food vacuole. It has a contractile vacuole for osmoregulation. Then sexual reproduction is absent in amoeba. Asexual reproduction takes place by binary fission. Entamoeba. One common species is Entamoeba histolytica, which cause amoebic dysentery in humans. It is amoeboid in form. New host gets infected when the cyst is swallowed. Along with contaminated food or water, the cyst bursts and releases entamoeba in the intestines, where it causes local abscesses. The symptoms of amoebic dysentery are abdominal pain, nausea, blood and mucus with stool. Plasmodium, this is also known as malarial parasite. The life cycle of Plasmodium has both asexual and sexual phases. The asexual phase is spent in the human body human blood. Sexual phase is spent in the female Anopheles mosquito. Now you can see the diagram, full life cycle of Anopheles. Then this one is Euglena. This is a freshwater flagellate. Euglena is abundantly found in stagnant water such as pools, ponds, ditches, etc. मतलब जहाँ पर पानी रुका हुआ है वहाँ पे आपको यूग्लिना देखने को मिल रहा है. Containing decaying organic matter. As seen in the figure, the organism has the following parts: pellicle, elastic body, covering made up of protein. चारों तरफ इसके कवरिंग मिलेगी जो कि प्रोटीन से बनी हुई है इस बॉडी की. This is euglena. So cytosome and reservoir, the cell mouth leading into a tubular cytopharynx which open into a vesicle called reservoir. You can see this in diagram. Stigma, a prominent red pigment spot. It is sensitive to light. Contractile vacuole for osmoregulation. Flagellum for propulsion on water. Chloroplast contain green colored chlorophyll for photosynthesis. Reproduction is by binary fission. The diatoms. Diatoms are found in both fresh and salt water and in moist soil. Thousands of species of diatoms form food for aquatic animals. Diatoms are either unicellular, colonial, or filamentous and occur in a wide variety of shapes. You can see this in figure. Each cell has a single prominent nucleus and plastids. They produce shells, cell wall containing silica. This is the structure, Chlamydomonas and Spirogyra. Both are green algae. Algae can prepare their own food by photosynthesis. As they contain chlorophyll, some algae have other pigments also. For example, blue pigment phycocyanin, brown pigment fucoxanthin, red pigment phycoerythrin. Depending on the pigment present, the algae are called blue, green, brown or red algae. Color of the Red Sea is due to the dominant occurrence of a red algae. Structurally, the algae have a definite cell wall, cell membrane, a nucleus, cytoplasm and chloroplast. The chloroplast is cup-shaped in Chlamydomonas and ribbon-shaped in Spirogyra. Pyrenoid bodies are attached to the chloroplast. Provide food for fish as part of phytoplanktons. ये phytoplanktons वो होते हैं जो पानी में अपर सरफेस पर तैरते रहते हैं. Organisms floating on the water surface. These are rich sources of vitamin A and D. Many marine forms are important sources of iodine, potassium and other minerals. Blue-green algae increase the soil fertility by fixing atmospheric nitrogen. Some algae can fix atmospheric nitrogen, so they are a source of natural fertilizer for the plants. A group of algae deposit silica in their wall. After their death, these algae are preserved as fossils. Their deposits in large amount are used as filters and for lining for furnaces. Kingdom fungi. Position of fungi during warm humid days, slices of bread, chapati, leather belt or shoes etc. develop powdery layer on them. In lawns and flower buds, mushroom come out. These are all fungi. Fungi were earlier classified as plants without chlorophyll and without differentiation of parts into root, stem and leaves. They are now included in a separate kingdom, fungi. स्टार्टिंग में उन्होंने साथ में क्लब किया था इसको, पर बाद में इसको अलग कर दिया गया. Characteristics of fungi. Fungi are multicellular eukaryotes. यूकैरियोट्स का मीनिंग जानते हैं, ट्रू न्यूक्लियस इज प्रेजेंट, these are called eukaryotes. Fungi exist as slender, thread-like filaments called hyphae. Hypha has many nuclei. Yeast, however, is single-celled. The cell wall is made up of chitin. A hyphae may be divided into cells by partitions called septa. Cells के बीच में आपको partition देखने को मिलेगा. This is known as septa formation. ये pores which cytoplasm streams freely. A group of hyphae forming a network is called mycelium. Mycetose meaning fungus. Mycelia spread out on the substrate or on the ground and even extend up to several kilometers. They do not possess chlorophyll or their nutrition is by absorption. No flagellum at any stage of the life cycle. Reproduction in fungi is both asexual by means of spores and sexual through conjugation. Conjugation means एक छोटी सी ट्यूब बन जाती है दो फिलामेंट के बीच में, that is called conjugation tube. Fungi are eukaryotic, multicellular, saprotrophs having filaments which grow through soil, wood and other substrates. Four main kinds of fungi. The fungi are of four main types: yeast, which are unicellular, slime molds, which are irregular in shape, mushrooms and toadstools, which are large enough to be seen by naked eyes, lichens and mycorrhiza, which exist in symbiotic association. Yeast. Yeast are fungi which do not produce any hyphae. These are generally in the form of single oval cells. This figure shows the general structure of a yeast cell. Note the following features in it: ovoid cell, distinct cell wall and nucleus, one or more vacuoles in the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is granular and has glycogen and fat globules. Next one is nutrition. Yeast is a saprotrophic. It can directly absorb simple sugar, but for obtaining sucrose, it gives out the enzyme zymase, which break down sucrose into simple sugars. The simple sugars are then simply absorbed into the cell. You can see the reaction. Budding in yeast. A bud is forming and the nucleus is dividing. Bud formed and the nucleus divided. Further budding forms a chain. So this is called budding. Next is sexual reproduction may also occur by its conjugation between two yeast cells. The fused contents divide twice to produce four individuals with a thick wall around each. These are the spores. The spores may be carried by wind and germinate under suitable conditions to produce new yeast cells. Slime molds. These consist of a naked, creeping multinucleate mass of protoplasm, sometimes covering up to several square meters. Mushrooms and toadstools. The vegetative part of the mycelium lies concealed in the substratum, in ground or in wood. When conditions are favorable, the umbrella-like mushroom grow out with a stalk and a cap. This is the structure of mushroom. Next one, lichens. These are a combination of certain fungi and green algae which live in a symbiotic, it means mutually beneficial association. The green algae prepare food while the fungi gives protection or shelter to the lichens. Economic importance of fungi. A harmful fungi, several agricultural plants like sugarcane, maize, cereals, vegetables suffer from disease caused by fungi. Then Puccinia graminis, it is also known as wheat rust. It causes brown patches on leaf and stem of wheat. It decreases the yield of wheat and make it unfit for human consumptions. पक्सिनिया ग्रामिनेस के नाम से ही आपको याद आ गया होगा. इन पक्सिनिया ग्रामिनेस there are 5 types of spores are produced. Number 1 iridospore, then telutospore, next is basidiospore, pycnidiospore and acidiospores. These 5 types of spores are produced by Paccinia graminis. So rhizopus or bread mold grow on bread. If the bread is exposed to warm and humid conditions, a cottony mass develops in few days. This white cotton mass later develops a grayish black color. The whitish network is called mycelium. The mycelium contains thread-like structure called hyphae. It means hyphae एक छोटा सा पार्ट है. जब बहुत सारे hyphae मिलेंगे वो mycelium को बना देते हैं. The root-like structures growing out of the hyphae penetrate the bread and secrete digestive enzymes, extracellular digestion, and absorb the digested food. Grayish black color of the mold develop due to formation of sporangium, which releases dark colored spores. The spores scatter by wind and germinate. After falling, oil a suitable place. This is asexual reproduction. This is the structure you can see here. Sexual reproduction takes place by conjugation between two neighboring hyphae to produce a zygospore, which after a period of rest produces a sporangium. When mature, the sporangium bursts to release spores which germinate on meeting favorable conditions and produce a new mycelium. In human, skin disease like ringworm and athlete's foot are caused by fungi. Some ear infections are also caused by fungi. Beneficial fungi, certain mushrooms such as Agaricus campestris are edible. Yeast is used for fermentation during manufacture of bread, beer, soya sauce, cheese and wine. Mycorrhiza, these are the fungi associated with roots of higher plants. Roots benefit in getting minerals from the environment, while fungi gets food from the plant in return through such association. Neurospora has been a favorite experimental material in genetics. Various antibiotics are derived from fungi. Penicillin is obtained from Penicillium notatum. Its antibiotic effect was discovered by chance by Alexander Fleming in 1927. Discovered by chance means serendipity, SERENDIPTY. Serendipity means वो काम कुछ और कर रहे थे पर उन्होंने खोज किसी और चीज की कर ली. This is the figure structure. What you have learnt, हमने अब तक जो भी कुछ पढ़ा ये सारी चीजें आप पढ़ चुके हैं. इसके बाद क्वेश्चन आंसर होंगे वो आपको सॉल्व करने होंगे. Protista includes protozoa, diatoms and other algae. They are unicellular eukaryotes and possess organelles like mitochondria, Golgi bodies, chloroplast, endoplasmic reticulum. Protista are autotrophic, saprotrophic or parasitic. Protozoans have cilia and flagella for movement. They reproduce asexually as well as sexually. Example of protist as paramecium, amoeba, malarial parasite, chlorella, euglena, Chlamydomonas spirogyra, etc. Some protozoa causes disease. Algae provide food for fish and are rich source of some minerals and vitamins. Blue-green algae fix atmospheric nitrogen. Walls of diatoms which have silica are used as filters and for living furnaces. Diatoms form bulk of plankton and are food for many aquatic organisms. Next is leg true nucleus, genetic material in prokaryotes in the form of single circular DNA. DNA is placed in a special region in a bacterial cell called nucleoid. A small ring of extra DNA is present called plasmid. Next is bacteria exhibit 4 different kinds of nutrition: autotrophic, saprotrophic, symbiotic and parasitic. Cyanobacteria possess chlorophyll that help in photosynthesis. Some bacteria fix atmospheric nitrogen to enrich soil. Some help in sewage treatment. Certain bacteria causes disease like cholera, typhoid, tetanus, and tuberculosis, etc. There are bacteria that survive in extreme environmental conditions in which very high temperature, high salinity, and presence of methane. Fungi are eukaryotic, multicellular, saprotrophs. Fungi are of several kinds such as yeast, slime molds, mushrooms, lichens, and mycorrhiza. Yeast are unicellular, which commonly reproduce asexually by budding. Sexually reproduction occurs by conjugation. Next is slime molds are naked, creeping multinucleate mass of protoplasm. Lichens are symbiotic combination of fungi and algae. Rhizopus, the common bread mold that produces whitish network, this is mycelium, on stale bread in warm humid condition. Rhizopus reproduces asexually by spores and sexually by producing zygospore, which in turn produce spores. Wheat rust Puccinia graminis causes brown patches on leaf and stem of wheat. Ringworm and athlete foot are two common fungal diseases of humans. Certain mushrooms are edible. Yeast is used in making bread, beer, etc. Neurospora is used in experiments on genetics. Penicillium notatum fields penicillium, sorry, बाई मिस्टेक इसमें स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक है, प्लीज करेक्ट करिएगा इसको. Various other fungi produce other antibiotics. This is known as Penicillium notatum. बाई मिस्टेक स्पेलिंग ठीक नहीं है इसको सेकेंड लाइन में. This is Penicillium notatum. These are the practice questions. वन बाई वन आप रीड आउट करेंगे और इन क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व करेंगे. वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चंस हैं. ड्रॉ अ लेबल डायग्राम ऑफ टिपिकल बैक्टीरियल सेल. बहुत इजीली, बहुत कंफर्टेबल तरीके से. So thank you very much.